Hey y'all, it's Danielle from Black Business Boom and Black Owned Nashville, and we are live with Danielle Nellis, who is running for district attorney in Nashville. How amazing is that to have a Black woman in this race and hopefully as our district attorney? I'm super excited to have you, Danielle. How are you today?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me here. I am not only excited to be with another Danielle, but excited to be on this platform sharing why we need to elect me as district attorney here in Nashville.
Well, then let's just get into it. Why do we need to elect you as district attorney here in Nashville?
Yeah, we need to have somebody in that position that is uniquely qualified, that can carry our stories. Unfortunately, I am running because we lost my father in law, a Venezuelan immigrant, he was murdered. My cousin, a Black gay man in North Nashville, was also murdered in 2014, and several of my Sunday school children were murdered in 2017 over the course of that year. So I understand what it is to be a victim, the family member of a victim walking through the system. I also understand what it is to be the family member of those who have experienced systemic injustice at the hands of police. My grandfather was beaten by police, wrongfully arrested. My father harassed by officers here in Nashville in his youth. I understand that fear that we have when we get that phone call, because my brothers called me one evening on Clarksville Highway where it was dark, and instead of stopping when police were attempting to pull them over, they drove less than a mile to get to the bottom of the driveway so that their attorney sister could watch and
Mm.
and make sure that nothing happened. And nothing happened, thankfully, but I understand that fear. I am uniquely qualified because I've been a defense attorney. So I've walked with defendants when they had no options for accountability in their families, trying to reach the best resolution in their case. I've walked with victims as a prosecutor, and I've clerked for a criminal court judge. So I've sat in that position of neutrality, trying to understand both sides and hear fairly from both sides and help the judge reach her decision, certainly all of her decisions, but assisting in that process. And what's really different also is that I'm the only candidate with a written plan to move our city forward. You know, a plan that takes into account the unique um, assets and resources that we have here in Nashville, but is focused really on people, restoring people, making them whole again, victims, defendants, and our entire community. And so I'm excited to do the work. I'm uniquely prepared to do the work, and I'm hoping to be elected.
I love it. Now, tell us, Danielle, for those that are listening in that really don't understand the role of the district attorney, can you just break it down for us? What does that mean and what role do you play?
Yeah, the easiest way to put it is that every case that where a suspect is developed comes through the office of the district attorney. And that person sets the policies and procedures surrounding how that case will proceed through the criminal justice system and through the court process. So that person helps shape the policy about release. If somebody is arrested, what that bail looks like, though the judges set the bail, you know how that policy is implemented and who is eligible and who is not eligible, as far as like pretrial assessment is concerned, is highly influenced by the person who is the district attorney. How cases are charged, if they're overcharged when they're indicted, is set by the district attorney. The way people are sentenced. Yes, there are sentencing laws in place, but the way we view cases, the way the assistant DAs are trained to view the cases, is set by the district attorney. And so every case comes through the DA's office. So we need somebody in that position who has a real understanding of the nuances of our criminal justice system and this criminal justice process. Somebody who understands the inequities over time, somebody that understands what often brings people in contact with the criminal justice system. We know that crime, for the most part, criminal behavior is a trauma response, poverty being a trauma, that there are conditions that make it more likely for somebody to come in contact with the criminal justice system, being unhoused or homeless, having food insecurities, and things like that. And also we somebody that understands what it is to walk with victims and have been a victim, right? Because we too, as Black people, are victims, and we need to recognize and value victims as they come through the system and hear their voices truly, not just run them through the system like we do every other actor. And so we need somebody who has that unique understanding and has a balanced perspective and has seen it from all sides.
I love it. That was wonderful, Danielle. We're super excited to have you again just here to explain us, because a lot of times we're going down the ballot. We don't really even truly understand the power that folks have in these positions that we're electing them for. So I appreciate you. My whole understanding is from of a DA came from Law and Order SVU, so but I know just from watching TV, how important that person is, and that having someone that is uniquely qualified as well as understands the Black community, it can be really huge, especially in a city like Nashville. Yeah. I want to talk to you a little bit about what we've seen over even since the pandemic in North and East Nashville. It seems to have picked up. The crime has picked up, and I'm interested in just hearing your thoughts on that and things that we can do to help resolve whatever is going on to cause the spike in violent crime.
Yeah, I love how you've noted that it is in certain areas that crime has picked up, because in some areas it has gone down. And we need somebody who understands that it is not just a broad sweeping crime is bad everywhere. Crime is bad. But there are certain communities who are impacted differently by criminal behavior. I think last year we had over 100 homicides here. And so that's over 100 families who are wrestling with the fact that they have now lost a loved one. To answer the question about what we can do, elect a new DA. Just put that plug in there first. But really, we need somebody who has a new way of thinking about how we address crime and criminal behavior. My goal, my 4 principles that I would like to implement in the office are community engagement. We cannot arrest our way out of the problem. And we know that if holding people in jail was a solution and made our community truly safe, we would be the safest country and the safest state in the world. But that is not the case. Tennessee incarcerates more people than most Western nations, if not all Western nations, our number of our incarcerated population. 37208, like you said, out north. I grew up out north. I'm from North Nashville. 37218, 37208. My family's been in Nashville for 6 or so generations. So I understand that very personally and know people who have been impacted by the system, certainly in my family as well. And so, recognize that we can arrest our way out. We cannot imprison our way out. We've got to start thinking about how, as a community, we work to prevent the criminal behavior and crimes in the first place. And again, the way we prevent it is by creating healthy and whole neighborhoods. We make sure people have access to the resources that they need. They have good education. And we put in place mechanisms so that when people do come in contact with the criminal justice system, they're able to be connected back to those resources, so we don't see them cycling in and out, in and out, in and out. One of the statistics that's floating around in this grand conversation is that there are very few people being held in jail on misdemeanors and low-level crimes currently. Well, the issue is, one, 60% of the bodies held in jail right now are Black and brown bodies here in Davidson County, which is a disproportionate representation. Two, if people are simply cycling in and out and not being able to be connected with the resources that they need, then we know that they're just going to keep coming in and out. We don't ever address the root cause in the system the way it's set up right now. So I think, Nashville being the vibrant community that it is, very well, Danielle, we have a beautiful group here, 32,000, I think, in the Facebook group. But Nashville has always had a vibrant ecosystem of nonprofits and community-based organizations who care deeply and are ready to tap in and make a difference. But we have to invite them to the table to come up with the solutions to address those issues.
This has been fantastic, Danielle. I mean, I love, someone dropped in the comments and said, I love her energy and intentions. And I have to second that I do as well. solutions, coming up with
Solutions.
solutions that fit the community.
Yes.
Not, we can't take this blanket approach to policing our communities. We need those organizations, like you
Mhm.
mentioned, to step in that are doing the work. They're
Yep.
doing the work and don't necessarily have a voice
Right.
in the process, or don't have the resources they need to really do the work that they are capable of doing. So I am super excited to have you on the ballot. What can we do as a community to support you and to make sure that, everyone knows that there is a Black woman that is running for DA in Nashville?
So there's some really easy ways to get the word out. I dropped a link earlier this week or last week here in the group, and it's a donation link specifically tailored to the Black People Making Moves group. And I said, if all 32,000 of us gave $32, we would raise over $1 million, easily out fundraising every other person in this race. But I also recognize the way that we do philanthropy in our communities is different. And so, what I'm then also asking is for your time. We need people to cover the polls, right? We need to always have somebody in front of all the polls with a sign saying, she's the one, she is it. Race is going to come down to a total of about 95,000 people in the entire city voting. That's a tiny percentage of folks.
Yeah.
So to win this race, we really only need about 35, maybe 40,000 votes to win. So,
Yeah.
what I need each person here to do is find 10 people. Find 10 people and tell those 10 people, I'm voting for P. Danielle Nellis. You need to vote for P. Danielle Nellis too. And tell them to tell 10 people. And we know our text networks are vast.
Yeah.
Our social networks are vast. And so if you are telling people and making sure they make it to the polls, we will change not just the outcome of this race, but we will change history for our families, for our kids, for our future can be completely different than what the status quo, than what's being presented right now with this other status quo candidates. We can reimagine our criminal justice system, and we've got to do it. Our kids require it. I have a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
In 8 years, when we get to choose again, because these are 8-year terms, he'll
Yeah.
be right on the cusp of driving. And I want to know that he's driving in a city that is safe for him.
I love it. Again, this has been amazing. Someone asked if we can share the link again. We will make sure that we get that link. We'll reply to your comment with that link, and we'll drop it in the comments. I appreciate you so much, Danielle. I'm really, really honored to have had your time today and to learn about your platform. You are, I mean, like you said, you have a written plan, and it sounds amazing, and I have full faith that with the right support you will execute that plan. And that's one of the reasons for me having folks come and go live with me, because we're gonna hold you accountable. Like
Please.
we want to hear the plan, and then we're gonna check in with you once you get in office and make sure that we hold you accountable as a community for the things that you can do to support us. So I appreciate you. Before we wrap up, I want to shout out Heartbeat of One's Destiny. I'm wearing their t-shirt today. Life is a team sport with individual responsibilities. And at the bottom there has group economics. And I felt like that was really fitting for our conversation today, because if everyone tuning in just grab 10 people and they grabbed 10 people, we could make sure that Danielle got in office as the district attorney. Like, we could do this. If half of the people in the Black People Making Moves group showed up at the polls and voted for Danielle, that would be a huge dent. That would get her halfway where she needs to go to win this race. So together, us coming together and putting our support behind someone together can really make a huge difference here in Nashville. So again, Danielle, I really appreciate you. Really excited to have someone that is willing to represent our community, willing to bring resources, willing to involve the organizations that are doing the work, and make sure that we feel more safe in Nashville as the Black community. So thank you so much, Danielle.
Thank you, Danielle. Let's make history, but more importantly, let's make change.
I love it. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. We will make sure that we get that link. If you can donate anything, it will help to give Danielle a boost, and hopefully that boost will get her into office. But also make sure that you show up to vote. Danielle, when does early voting start?
Early voting starts April 13th, so next Wednesday. It'll be at the Howard School Building for a week. The following week, we will open up the early voting locations, including the Bordeaux Library, Casa Asafran on Knowlesville Road. There's a whole list. And then on May 3rd, every polling place will be open. So we've got to show up and show out
We
for this
don't have
election.
long, so let's plan for it. All right. Thank you so much, Danielle. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
day. Thank you again for joining me.